So I have a 2019 Ford Fusion with a 1.5 liter EcoBoost engine. This vehicle was in here about 500 miles ago with a P0141 code stored in the computer. That is, by definition, O2 sensor heater circuit bank 1 sensor 2. It's back again, and same code. Now I've already went and pulled the downstream O2 sensor from parts HS7Z 9Golf 444A, and I tested this circuit, pins 3 and 4, 4.6 ohms, just like it's supposed to be. The one that I put in there on the component side is already testing bad. It's OL. So now I want to go through the pinpoint test and re-verify everything again. So DW1, pinpoint test DW. DW1 says, are these codes present? 141 is right here. So yes, go to DW2. Ignition off, verify the HO2S connectors are connected to the correct engine bank. They are. Visually inspect for cross wires, pinched, oil or water, damaged O2s. Is a concern present? No. So for no, it says go to, let's see, (141), go to DW15. So we go to DW15. DW15. Diagnosis: suspect sensor indicated by the DTC. Ignition off. PCM connector connected. For the HO2S1, that's not the one we want. For the HO2S12, that's the one we want. Connector disconnected, ignition off, engine off. Measure the voltage between ignition on, engine off. Measure the voltage between pin 1 and ground. Well, you get battery voltage. I've already done that. That's the side over here. Let's go do it real quick. Okay, we're on pin 1. And ground. Measuring battery voltage. Okay. Is the voltage greater than 10.5 volts? Yes, go to DW16. Okay, DW16. Ignition off, PCM connector disconnected. For the HO2S1, measure the resistance between. We're not interested in that. We want to go from the PCM connector, the heater circuit pin 2 to PCM connector disconnect. Alright, so ignition off. PCM connector disconnected. Well, I don't know why you have to do that. If measure the resistance between. Oh, I see what they want now. They want you to go from connector harness side to the PCM. So they want you to go from pin 2 up to the PCM and measure the resistance. So if we were to do that, pin 2, so I pull up a wiring diagram and pull up the connector face, and it's saying pin 1 of the 103 pin connector is powertrain heater oxygen sensor post cat, first or unique H2R12. So that's what I'm going to check. I'm going to find the 103 pin connector and then check the white orange wire from pin 2 all the way back. So what I need to do is I need to find the connector with the 2 banks on this side, and then find pin 1. So this is the top one, and that's clearly not it. The bottom one is the one. It's this one here. Well, it says 103, but... And then pin 1. Pin 1 is this pin right over here in the corner. Let me pin that real quick. Okay, ignition off. I'm in pin 1. And I'm on the number 2 pin. And I've got 0.3 ohms, 0.4 ohms. So that's not going to be my problem. So let's continue. Is the resistance less than 5 ohms? Yes, go to DW17. Okay, so DW17 says check the HO2S heater for short circuits. Measure the resistance between H2R1, well that's for heater S211, I don't want S211, I want S212. Measure the resistance between connector harness side. So they want me to go from pin 2 to ground in the harness. So what do they say? Pin 2 to ground. Let's go check it out real quick. Okay, I'm still on pin 2. And I'm on ground. And no connection. So that's good. So we move to the next step, which is the resistance greater, are the resistances greater than 10,000 ohms? So then they're also saying that you can go from pin 2 to 1, 2 to 3, and 2 to 4 inside the connector to make sure there's no connection there. So let's go check that real quick. One of them there's going to be connection. 2 to 1, 2 to 3, 2 to 4. Actually 3 and 4 make connection, but 2 should make no connection with any of them, so we'll go check that next. I'm going to try to do this as careful as possible because I have to record and do this at the same time, and that becomes a nightmare. So I'm on pin 4, nothing. I'm on pin 2 in the harness. No, I'm on pin 3, I should say. Nothing. Now I'm going to go over to pin 1. Let me see here. Pin 1. Nothing. So, pin 2 to ground was OL, pin 2 to 1 was OL, 2 to 3 was OL, and 2 to 4 was OL. So, that basically tells me there's no connection with the ground circuit. Are the resistances greater than 10,000 ohms? Yes, they are. Measure the resistance. This is on the connector component side. Measure the resistance between, no, here. They want you to measure the resistance between 1 and 2 on the component side. Let's see. 1 and 2 on the component side. One and 2 on the component side. So pins 1 and 2. Let me fish my wire out. So if I'm looking at that, of course I did. Pin 1 and 2. Pin 1 and 2 is to the left of the divot. So pin 1 and 2.
Hey Mike, see you.
Well, I've got OL on everything. There's no connection to anything inside this connector. What they want me to connect, so again, I've got no connection to anything inside this connector. I'm in pins 1 and 2 right now on the component side, and it's reading OL. I even tried 1 and 2. I tried 3 to all of them, 2 to all of them on the component side, and I ain't getting anything. It's open the whole way. So they're saying that you're supposed to have 2 to 30 ohms on pins 1 and 2. And is the resistance between 2 to 30 ohms? No. Install a new HO2S. Reset cam. Alright, let's compare that to the new one. You see the circuits I'm in right now. And it's reading OL. Let's take those same ones out. Put them in this one. So I have my connection here. 3.5 ohms. So I'm gonna have to install a new O2 sensor. Everything else checked out. This is the second install. Let's see what happens.